come out this morning and support Shiley with your social media Sherpa. It's a pleasure to have her. I hope everybody's gotten themselves a cup of coffee and looking forward to the great presentation. So, without further ado, let us welcome Shiley.
Uh,
Shiley, it's all yours.
oh, wow. Great. Awesome. Well, hello. It's a pleasure to see you all. Good morning, Kelly. Good morning, everybody in here. Dennis, Corey, Ron. I was just looking at the map and I was like, just getting some sense. I have a friend that's from the Raleigh Durham area, and I've heard so much about the whole like region. So it's cool to be here. Yes, I'm Shiley from Your Social Media Sherpa, and I help businesses get clarity and accountability doing your own marketing. Ooh. Just want to see all your faces as this is happening. So Zoom is fun like that. So with that, I want to show you a funny, weird picture of me, little baby Shiley from back in the day. So this is me in high school, being a little bit dark, a little bit. Some people say emo, goth, whatever. This is my own little time of being a young kid. And if you do know what that logo is, put it in the chat because I want to see what you remember of this logo from the 2000s. But this was me. How did I go from this to helping businesses do their own marketing to doing their own social media? There's a connection. And that's what I'm here to tell you more about today. So this logo, if you didn't know, it's the MySpace logo. I don't know if we have any MySpacers in the house. I was a MySpace junkie, and that was my thing. Like I spent so much of my free time on there, and MySpace for me wasn't just a place to go schmooze with my friends. It was more than that for me. It was actually something that changed my life. And for me, MySpace, from going to be like a nerdy kid that was bullied, that was teased, I didn't really have any friends. MySpace was the tool I used to make connections online. I found people that like the same nerdy hobbies that I did, which is watching shows like Big Brother and Survivor. Any fans of those shows in the house? I see some head nods from Dawn. Very cool. I love those shows, and I found people on there who love those shows too, and who also love to play online versions of these shows. And we had a little community going. But I found that our community trying to promote itself was promoting itself in the wrong places, to the wrong networks, to the wrong crowds, and I didn't like that. So I ended up coming up with my own community for just the people that did this hobby. And I called it Shiley's Resort for Online Gamers, and I was a community leader on MySpace. This community led me to friends, to connections, to helping people feel welcomed and find community. And it helped me learn how to socialize with people more than I ever had in my life thus far. And that was a real gift. From there, I realized as I grew older that the same skills that I used to make social skills on the internet were the same skills that I now teach my clients and how they can stay connected with their network, with their community online. With that, a little bit of my backstory. With that, let me tell you more about what Your Social Media Sherpa does. So, like I said, it's clarity and accountability doing your own marketing. What I find is that so many entrepreneurs get really overwhelmed because they're the accountant, they're the salesperson, they're the marketer, they're the implementer, they're all the things, and it gets really, really overwhelming. And marketing is just one more of those things, and there's so many choices for how to do it, where it's I'm going to try this week and I'm going to try that this week. And I find a lot of people that I work with, they get really overwhelmed by the choices and they don't always know how to best use the tools. And so what I do is I sit down with them one-on-one and I help them understand all sorts of stuff, from how to get Instagram hashtags to how to stand out on LinkedIn, to how to stay top of mind with your referral network and beyond. It's a little bit of what I help folks with. Oops, trying to get to my notes. I love it. Yeah, so they want to know how it works. They know social media is important for their business, but they don't actually know how that connects to what they already do in their own business. So to get a taste of who my people are and what I've done for them, here's a graphic of a bunch of different industries that I've worked with. I love I love getting to work with so many entrepreneurs in a lot of different spaces. A couple notable ones. I have an Indian matchmaker of a client. If anyone saw that show on Netflix, it was awesome. And what she had is she had a great network. She's very well connected. People knew who she was, but she didn't understand social media. So for her, it was like, hey, young person who does my Instagram, do this. Hey, why don't you get on Snapchat? Hey, try Facebook. She didn't know what that meant. And as a social media manager, I did. And I'm like, okay, you don't need to just tell your people to go do it when they don't understand how this helps your business. And the other big thing that she had was an email list. An email is fabulous. If you want to ask me why email is so important, ask me at the end of this talk. And she had a great list of people who were like ready to hire her, but she wasn't actually sending them anything. So I showed her how to do her email marketing in a way that didn't go to spam, that made people actually want to read it so that they can remember that she, the matchmaker, is the expert at what she does. Recently just talked to her, and she finally realized that she needs to work with her social media people to engage her network. And that was what I really wanted. I wanted her to understand how her social media managers helped with the goals that she understood for her business. If you don't work together, you don't get the results. So I'm very much that bridge. Another cool client that I had is a guy who I knew as a rabbi, but turned out he wanted to be a sleep consultant. And his whole thing was, I want to sell. Hey, you need sleep consulting. Go buy my sleep consulting. Da, 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 da. And I was like, I don't know if that's how you want to come off. It's salesy. It's annoying. So what I did with him, I said, hey, explain yourself. How did you become a sleep consultant when you were a rabbi? You've never told that. He wrote up a story about it, and he started getting so many more people reaching out to him, asking questions because they felt less scared to see his content and to react to it. So those are a few notable examples of how we got people to feel less worried, less alone in how they do their own marketing, and helping them really stay in touch with the people that matter most. So what does it actually look like to work with me? So the first thing I do is I do a video review. I look at everything that you or your company has online, and to see what you have. A lot of times I'll find different errors on different pages, or I'll see missing information. And oftentimes, like, you may have Googled me before you saw this talk today. Your clients or your leads or your students are going to look you up beforehand. Is what you have online presenting you in the light that you need to be seen as? So you will see my first impression, my first reaction. Then we learn together. So like I mentioned earlier, there's different things that people can learn. I know people have been asking me about Clubhouse lately, or TikTok, and should they even go on there? We focus on a couple areas that are relevant to your business, that you want to learn, so that you can feel really knowledgeable on whatever it is that you want to know about without having to sift through all the immense amount of data. There's a lot of shiny object syndrome with my clients. I definitely don't want them to continue that. And from there, I find the accountability piece is really huge for my clients, is that they know that I'll check in with them every other week to see how they're doing, and that I'm one click away if they have a question for me, so they don't have to feel stuck with something annoying that Facebook is doing, or they don't have to feel like today, like a bunch of new stuff launched on LinkedIn. They don't have to be the experts. They don't need to know about it. I can tell them, and they don't have to worry. They don't need to know everything. They can focus on what they do best. Thanks for the nods, Jesse. I love it. I appreciate it. So one of the things I'm here to like learn more about is just how I structure my services. Sometimes I realize people want to start with something smaller. So sometimes they just purchase the video review, and that's okay. And some people use that as a starting point to help them kind of process where they're at. What I really think is helpful is getting that video review and then having a chance to ask those questions and getting support. So that's the second session. What really gives them the most benefit is to really get that mindset shift in is really 3 months. And what I'm looking to do more of is keeping in touch with people for a year to see how they go, because I get people that I started working with last summer who are reaching out to me now being like, oh yeah, now I want to tackle that thing you told me about last summer. So I know that there's a long game to this, and only good things can happen. But I also know that how I sell these packages matters, because some people don't want to start with something big, but I know that the bigger thing is going to help them get exactly where they want to go. So that's something I'm working on to make my process better, and how I sell, my sales structure and beyond. So I'm looking forward to hearing some thoughts and getting some questions to help me figure this out for myself. Here's how I market myself. So LinkedIn is my jam. I love LinkedIn. Like I just posted something the other day and I already have 30 comments on there. Lots, I think like 80 likes, and they're all people that I have a good relationship with. So it's really great for me to stay top of mind with my network. And I've been doing it consistently for like 2 years. So there are a couple examples of LinkedIn posts that did really well, and some great conversations that I started online. I would not be the Sherpa if I didn't put in some tips today. And because we do have a little bit more time, I also willing to do social media therapy today. So if there's questions or things that annoy you about social media, things that make you angry, put them in the chat. If you're like, oh, I hate this or I love that, I will try to get to some questions today to help guide you and where you are or where your students need some support on. There's a lot I can share with you. So if you feel inspired, put some questions in there. I'm going to give you a few tips for now. So the first one is gratitude. So of course, gratitude is important. Me, like probably many other people in here, probably are underappreciated by a lot of folks. I know I look at my mother who's always generous and giving, and she's very underappreciated. So the secret with social media is appreciate people that maybe need a little extra love. So this can look like thanking someone you saw a speech by sending them a really nice tweet. Or if someone comments on anything, on any social media platform, sending them a personalized thank you message, acknowledging that action. It does a couple things. One, it reminds the person that they did the thing, even though their reaction may have been a few hours ago. And two, it leaves a really open form of communication that if they ever had any questions for you, they now have a chance to ask. Oof, welcome to my cough today, everybody. So that, and also a third benefit is that it also helps potential algorithms make them think that person is more interested in your content, making that come up to the top the next time you post. The second one is Twitter. Am I telling everyone on here to go be a Twitter nut? Absolutely not. Twitter is a whole other can of worms. It's not for everybody. But what Twitter is really good for is helping you get a hold of people that are hard to reach. Journalists are all over Twitter. And same as celebrities, entertainers. There's so many people that are one click away, much easier on Twitter than any other platform. The other cool thing is that if you have a competitor, looking up their Twitter account is a great way to figure out who they follow, because chances are that's who their client list is. So if you want to potentially look for your competitor's client list, check their Twitter. That is one way of going about it. The last tip is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a huge platform to getting in touch with other businesses, professionals, maybe even to help your students get jobs. So making sure your profile tells everybody what you're really good at and what your strengths are is absolutely huge. One of the things I'm going to do is that to help people is I've collected amazing LinkedIn profiles that I really love. And I'm putting them in the chat in here. It's a link where you can get all my favorite LinkedIn profiles so that you can make a good judgment of what you want to showcase on there. It's huge. So with that, I have a few questions. One of the biggest questions I have before I look at some of the comments in here is what is the best way I can structure my service for long-term growth in a way that I can maintain and enjoy? That's one of my bigger questions. And some of my other asks that I have as part of today, I know we like to have like 3 asks. I'm always looking to make my sales process stronger, and I'm learning so much about that all the time. And the other question is, what aspects of what I shared is the most stand out from this pitch? Is there an aspect of this you're like, that's the area that she needs to emphasize with future groups? Those are some things that I'm always learning about. Here's how you can contact me, and I'm here for whatever social media therapy I can offer, but also to learn and grow. So thank you so much for having me. And then I'm going to stop share.
So I'm going to ask the ultimate first question.
Ooh.
As a marketing person, how do you market yourself?
So a lot of what I do is in-person networking, online networking, and LinkedIn. So for me, it's every time I make a new connection with someone that I think I should keep talking to, I connect with them on LinkedIn. And then from there on, somebody that I maybe met once at a networking event and talked to them for all of 5 minutes is now going to know who I am, is going to keep seeing me show up over and over again. So that's something that works in relation to my content.
So basically you're relying on people who already know something about social media. So those people, those companies and entrepreneurs who are brand new and really don't know social media, really don't have a clue you're out there.
They don't, but they're also not necessarily my target audience unless they're like somebody who's already had their own business before. Usually my clients are very aware that social media matters. They're already kind of past that point. I don't need to convince them, but they don't know the ins and outs. So, and also to newer entrepreneurs, they don't know what they need to invest in sometimes. So I might not be the best first step for them. If they don't have a product and they don't have a network, it makes it a lot harder to succeed online. So a lot of the people that can really get the maximum benefit from what I do are people that have a network, because I'm just going to say here, and if you're a business owner and you can relate to this, let me know. But it's hard to keep in touch with everybody that's in your network. Everybody says, oh, I get my business by referral, but they don't stay in touch with their referral network. So what I do is I make that easier for them, because they know that there's money in their network, but they're not staying in touch. So of course they're not going to be able to tap into that. So that's what I do. It's like there's people that are already warmed up to me, and now they're being educated that I know something that they don't know about. And that works.
So
basically,
your target market are not new people to social media or new businesses to social media, but people who are already there. You're trying to help them to critique and grow.
Yeah, like it's critique, but also like it's making them less having to be overwhelmed by trying to figure it out themselves. It's that they know that they need to be out there, and they know they need to get into the 21st century. They just don't know how to do it. And I sit down and I hold their hand through that process.
That's kind of my point, though. If they know that they need it, most people on the face of this earth today know about social media, not all, but most. But if they don't know how to do it, how are they going to know that you're out there?
Oh, they're on it. They're like they're on it. So for example, like there's a lot of people that are in my network that post all the time on LinkedIn, but their content sucks. And or they have a very big network and they post once every like 2 months. Right? So they're already on there and they're trying it, or they've tried it. They're not completely oblivious to the platforms. So is that what you're referring to? These are juicy questions. I appreciate it.
Well, I'm just trying to get to, I get that if I've already ventured out there and I've made a mess, or I really don't know where to go now, that you would be there to help me. Yeah. But if I'm a new business and because one of the things, matter of fact, I'll put a plug in here for our small business center. They already have a workshop on people who are joining the world of entrepreneurship at 50 plus. Well,
amazing.
I can tell you that there are some people in the 50 plus category, even though they know social media is out there, they may know how to put their picture of their dog on Facebook. They don't know how to market their business on social media. So are you A, targeting them, and B, if you are targeting them, how are you going after them? Because I probably don't know how to find you.
Oh, this is a great question. So I'm going to reference a client I had last year, who her whole business model is actually inspiring women in their golden years. So women who are in their 60s and 70s to really sprout their new life, as her words. And when I worked with her, she didn't have a network to tap into. And that was a hard thing, right? So much of where you can get the most benefit is if you have people that you're connected with that you think can buy into your service. So with her, like, there's a lot I can do to teach her how to do social media. And she's on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, she's on LinkedIn, and she knows how to do all these platforms. I've taught her everything. But what makes all of those efforts worth so much more is when she has eyeballs and a big community to tap into. So yes, I helped her and I changed her life when it comes to social media. She knows more than so many social media managers know, which is great. But social media alone isn't the magical thing that's going to help them get customers. So when it comes to people who are new, I can show them the heck of how to do social media, but the magical people aren't just going to fall in their lap because of that. And that's where I really like to work with connectors, because those are the people that they're already primed up to buy their service. And so that's the only hesitation, is that I'm not necessarily like the people who are going to be able to say, yes, I got so many more results, are the people that have an audience to tap into. So if they want to just learn social media, I am your girl and I will show you. But if they're expecting some sort of magical billions of dollars of business success, they're understanding social media wrong. So when I do talk to groups like that, that has to be very front and clear, because social media is one aspect to marketing and you need a few other pieces to make them thrive. So thanks. I love, Jesse, I love your reactions. You're great. I love it. So that's what I would say there. I go to a lot of groups and a lot of people see me speak. I have full-length YouTube videos with trainings that are free online for people to watch. So people do see me from a variety of different networks. But I would love to learn more how I can cheer that community on.
Shirley, I have a question.
Sure.
So where do your revenues come from? So do you show me how to use Facebook and how much does that, or social media, how much does that cost for a startup?
So it really just depends. I usually don't put pricing online. I do sell a few of my hacks on my website. So like you can learn how to do Instagram hacks. Everything there is like under $100. It's like they're videos that you can watch of me teaching you something cool. But usually it starts at somewhere around $500, depending on what you get into. And usually those are conversations that I have with an individual entrepreneur. But it's very low barrier. So here's how I compare it. When you think of like hiring a social media manager, someone who's a freelancer, it's at least usually $500 per platform. There's a lot of people who get taken advantage of and who do it for a lot less, and it's really unfortunate. If you go with an agency, you're spending at least a few $1,000s a month, and you're usually making at least a 6-month commitment, because that's what it takes to really start seeing results. And so what ends up happening is that if you get bamboozled into an agency who's very good at marketing themselves, and you don't like what they do, you're kind of stuck. And a lot of times most startups or most companies don't understand how social media works. So they're kind of taking their best guess. It's kind of like, when you go to like a car dealership and it's like a lot of women, like not all women, some women get taken advantage of at the car dealership. It's like, you want to, sometimes like my family, people bring my dad to the car dealership because he knows how to negotiate. So I'm kind of like that person that helps businesses understand how businesses work, but also understands how social media works, so that they don't get suckered into like some sort of long commitment with someone without understanding what they're going to get out of it. Is that most social media managers, they're administrative, they do a task, and a lot of times they don't get direction from the business owner, and then they get blamed for not getting business, but most of the time they don't understand the relationship between those two. So I'm like a much safer bet to work with me at the beginning before you hire someone, so that you understand exactly what kind of social media manager you need. Do you need one that's better at writing? Do you need one that's better at graphics? Where do you need one that does really good email marketing? That's going to save you a lot of headache and a lot of spend that you shouldn't be spending. So that's where I come in as that kind of bridge. Is that most social media managers don't understand the day-to-day of what a business owner's life is like, and I do.
Ms. Shiley, this is Dr. Fair. I have a question, a couple
Yeah,
questions, and a couple
please.
compliments. The first is, well, this is a hot market. I mean, what you're doing is spot on, and I'm sure you're going to be successful at it. But my
Thank
question
you.
is, how do you track or measure your success, and how are you marketing that to your target audience? That's the first question. But is this your first time on 1 Million Cups?
This is not my first 1 million cups. I've been going to 1 million cups for like maybe 4 years, 5 years.
Okay. So
I've been
I
speaking a
mean,
few times.
I've been here maybe 3 times now, I think. And I think that a lot of the businesses that are here could possibly use a certain portion, or a sector of your services. So, I mean, I would invite you to, chime in a little more frequently, because this is my first time seeing you, but I haven't been here long.
Thank
But
you.
I would invite you to come back just to hear what these other businesses are pitching, so that you may, have an opportunity to service them as well. I mean, great businesses thriving, but some of them don't have the marketing piece or the social media piece down, and on a number of those companies or agencies, they said that, hey, this is where we're struggling at. So, I mean, I would invite you to come back to 1 Million Cups here, just to see, how you might be able to help, or if you can actually generate business from them. Now, again,
Thanks.
one of the things you touched on was just the email marketing. And I mean,
Yeah.
from in a non-invasive way,
Please.
that's just a one portion, of marketing that they could benefit on. But, when you think about how to set that up, it becomes very, 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 very complicated if you're not in it all the time. And the businesses that we reviewed, yeah, they're not they're not in that deep. So, I mean, again, I would invite you to come back to 1 Million Cups just to hear those businesses and see how you can help serve them.
Absolutely. Thank you for all of those questions and nuggets and insights. I appreciate it. One of the things you asked me is, like, how do I showcase my results? What is my data? And for me, like, it's not about like, oh, you made $1 bajillion because something I taught you. Is that you as an entrepreneur, whoever it is, got to be seen and got to keep engaged with the people that they know are going to open doors for them, or they got to feel more confident that a tool that they've been wanting to use, they feel more confident that their efforts are worth it. And I know from just so many years of doing this that social media is nauseating. People hate it because it doesn't get them what they want, or they don't know how to use it so that they can actually get something out of it. And it's frustrating for people. So for someone to come in and make them feel more at ease about it and understand how it relates to the skills that they already have has been a big deal. And that's kind of how I showcase what I've done for other folks, is that when I brought all my clients together for a networking event, and they feel so much more at ease about things that they didn't understand before. And that to me is a major win in terms of learning and feeling. And I think some of them, even, this is like the secret sauce of me, is that they always leave with me motivating them and cheering them on. And a lot of times, like, we're alone in our businesses. We don't have someone that's there to champion us. And here I am every month that's telling them, like, you are awesome. Like, here's what you accomplished. And that's something they didn't know they were buying into, but they get every single time I work with someone, is I may help them believe in themselves and their own capabilities.
Okay, awesome. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
What I would say
Please.
is that having those numbers, on success is just how you measure that, and just being able to present some concrete, evidence of what you're doing and how it's effective would probably win my business. If
Ooh.
you're asking me to invest $500 and I'm a startup company, I'm just getting into this, yeah, I'm gonna want to see, well, what have you done, and how has it affected the businesses that you've been a part of? So, in some way, shape, form, or fashion, you might want to be able to present some numbers to say, hey, listen, here's the track record. I know doing this will grow your business, by at least this much. It doesn't have to be for sure, but whenever I'm investing, $500 to $1,000 in your service, I want to know that there's going to be some return on that investment and what that could potentially look like.
Ooh, can I test the story on you, Corey? And actually anybody here as well. There's a story that I tell that does have some level of numbers. I want to know if this is closer to what you're asking for, because this is something that I've been hearing from a few other people as well. So there was two clients that started at the same time. One was like a chess school, and one is this like really cool eco-friendly housing project. And they both were starting Facebook pages from zero. And nobody else or nothing else on there. I told them both the exact same advice, and I'll tell you this hack right here, is that when you're making a new page, don't just invite everybody willy-nilly to like it. Reach out to every individual person and personally invite them to like the page. And then and that makes a huge difference in terms of how they react. And also put out content that your target audience wants to read in a way that's indulgent for them. One person, the chess school, didn't listen to me and invited 300 people randomly and started posting content that wasn't actually speaking to his target demographic, which is moms. It was speaking to chess experts. His page didn't do so well. The other group did everything I told them to in terms of content and personalized invites, and now they consistently get people engaging with their content every single week, from like 5 to 20 interactions on every single post, because they listened to what I said. And they're getting a lot more conversations and a lot more press because of that. That's one example, Corey. Does that story help?
It does. It does. And I'd be interested to know the numbers behind the company that didn't do so well versus the numbers behind the company that did well, and have that as, concrete evidence that your strategies work. Hey, this is what we do. This is how I did it. Hey, here's an example. These are the numbers. I mean, I'm a numbers guy. And I want to see that my return on investment, is a certain percentage. That's just me. And I would think that, having those numbers would probably serve a little bit better.
That's a great reminder. I really appreciate that, Corey. You're not the only one, so it's a good reminder. Oh, Jesse, hi. Are you?
Hey, let me ask you a question. Hey,
please.
It's really full of energy.
Thank you.
Do you have any testimonials from any clients you'd like to share? I didn't see any of that. So if I was a new entrepreneur, a new startup, and I was to look at your site, I would like to see some testimonials from some clients that have engaged your services.
For sure. So I do have a bunch on my website. One of the quotes that I got, especially from the woman I was talking about earlier, who is a woman in her late 60s, she said that she's like, Shiley takes you from where you are and guides you to where you want to go. And that was a really big one, because one of the things that she highlighted about my service is that a lot of people feel like, oh, I'm not ready, or I don't know enough. And what I do is I meet them at whatever level they're at, and I get them a little bit more insight to get them where they want to go, which takes away a lot of the overwhelm. The other ones I have here, I can show you on my website. Let's see. I have a bunch on every page. I have speaking testimonials, and I have, here's one. Where did it go? Oh, here's one from a designer that I worked with. She wanted to learn more about Instagram. Yeah, so like basically she really loved the accountability, so she highlighted that. So like a lot of times it's like she didn't understand how the different platforms work. She didn't understand how to do her Instagram bio. She didn't know how to do hashtags, and that's something that I can show her how to do. So those are a few of the nuggets that she shared. But I also do have on my website, I do speaking. This is where you can get my LinkedIn profiles. The one, like a lot of what you said in terms of energy is what I get from my speaking engagements. I've spoken at a bunch of universities, helping them get their LinkedIn. I actually teach at the University of Chicago as well. So this student got a lot of confidence as a result of my classes and my programming. University of Notre Dame, they said that they really liked the process that I worked with them on. They liked my humor. Sidney Shapiro, he has a lot of students who learn tech in Canada, and he really liked the sessions, and he's brought me in numerous times to do sessions to help his students learn LinkedIn. There's a lot. This is somebody who runs a business development center here in Chicago, and she really loved a lot of the nuggets I shared about LinkedIn. There's some good stuff here. There's another university that I've spoken at of showing them a lot more about the energy and how to play around with the platform. So there's a few testimonials on there. I have a lot more that I can publish. But does that help get you a little bit more? Or are there other things you want to see?
No, that's great. Share as many of those as you can, because I mean, that just brings added value to your endeavors of your business.
Thank you. Now, I have a follow-up question for you, Jesse. If you don't know, something that I've always wondered about is that I see lots of people post testimonials online, and I don't always connect with them if I don't know who the person is. Do you care that you don't know who some of these people are? Or are you like, oh, I see that they're from this organization, that means something to me? Like, do you care that they're strangers to you?
I think you don't really want to qualify who they are. It could be a stranger in the beginning, but who are they? What benefit did they receive from your company?
Yeah.
Put something noteworthy about them.
Okay, this is good nuggets.
The other thing is, are you engaged in any social media marketing? Are you a consultant to anybody that's in social media marketing?
So one of my clients, she is a well-known, like I wouldn't call her a LinkedIn influencer, where she coaches a lot of businesses on how to use LinkedIn to get more consulting clients. Mm-hmm. And I coach her community. So we have some 200 people in our it was a Facebook group last week. Now we're a Slack channel, and I coach them on how to do LinkedIn. So every other week I'm doing a group coaching call with anywhere from like 5 to like 15 of these participants. And I've been working with this group for like 2 years. So I definitely do a lot of that. The other thing that I do is like let's say there's an incubator or like a co-working space that has a lot of different businesses in there. Some groups will bring me in and I can coach their clients for them so that they don't have to be experts at everything. So those are a few examples.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. These are great questions and giving me a lot to think about.
So Shiley, would you like to elaborate or discuss why email is so important?
Sure, I'm happy to. So this is funny. I didn't realize this till a few years ago. But this was a point that was made from somebody who like does a little bit of what I do, but they focus on email. And she's like, and I thought she was just trying to be mean to social media people, like social media people and email people, like, oh, we don't get along, or like, I don't know. I thought it was like some like gang war happening here. And so she pointed something out, and she's like, she's right about this, is that anytime a platform can take away your influence or platform get less popular. So for example, I love this platform Periscope. It's what Twitter uses for live streaming. Their last day of operations is today. And I love that platform with all my heart. And like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, I loved it. And I got a following on there and it was great. But then eventually people stopped caring about it. And so that audience that I had cultivated and worked hard for is gone. I don't have any way of staying in touch with them from all those years ago. A few of them I'm friends with on Twitter, but they're gone. I have no control over that. So what we do say is that if you can get someone's email, that email is yours forever. Like, yeah, you can change your email and all that kind of stuff, but your email is a much longer term relationship to stay in touch with people, and is yours. That no platform can take that away from you. You have ownership of it. So, there's people who get really big on TikTok who get banned because there's a lot of controversy on TikTok right now, and that's heartbreaking. So what like a lot of like marketers will say is that you offer something for free on your website. In my case, I have my favorite LinkedIn profiles, and that you give them something in exchange for that email, and now I have a digital relationship with them that's ongoing for a lot longer. So I have emails that are great social media tips that I send out every other week that now help people learn and grow, and also get to know me as an expert, that I can now move over. Can you do email alone? Possibly, if you have a good network, or if you have someone who does ads for you or whatever. But over time, when you are on social media, that is the easiest way to get them to the next step of saying, hey, I might be interested in working with you. The most engaged people are the ones who are going to sign up for that freebie. So that's how I know that my email list is a much higher engaged network than just my LinkedIn alone. It's one step closer. It's one more way they can see me. And it's owned by me. So that's a good nugget for everybody here. Is anybody in here like overwhelmed by their own marketing, or anybody have any like anger or frustration to their own marketing efforts or their own presenting of themselves on LinkedIn or something rather? And feel free to chime into the chat too. I know not everyone wants to talk, but I'm here for it. Hi.
Charlie, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm new to the area. I've got a business, a side business up north that I'm bringing down with me. So I didn't see my industry on your list. So I think you might have a client. Let me just say that I think what my colleagues are saying about quantifying and actually selling yourself, using testimonials, things like that, excellent ideas. But I got to tell you, you sell yourself. No, it's incredible how you come across as believable. You obviously know your business. I just have a feeling if I threw something at you, you could talk on for 10 or 15 minutes on the subject matter. And that's the confidence that I get, the vibes that I get from you. If you stick around a little bit afterwards, I'd like to get some information from you, and just to prove Corey right, if you get on these things, you might be able to help somebody out, and I might be the guy.
Oh, thank you. Can I give you a follow-up on that?
Yeah.
I love everything that you shared. It's great to hear the echoing of everything else that's been said. In terms of like that map, right? I put a lot of different industries on there. And not every industry is on there. So one of the questions I put on my FAQ page that has like a ton of questions that I get all the time is like, oh, you haven't worked with my industry. Like, you don't know my industry. How are you going to help me? And it's not, and I emphasize, it's not about the industry. Like, there's so many different industries out there. I don't know everything. And it's not my job to learn everything about your industry. You are the expert at who you serve. My job is to pull out the insights that you have from your brain that you know your community needs to hear from you. And I help you communicate that in the best way possible. How do you structure that? How do you say it? And what order do you say it in? Where do you put it? That's where I come in. So I don't have to know a thing about anyone's industry. Do you think I know about what sleep consulting is like? I didn't sleep last night. I don't know anything about that, but he does. And I help pull out the things that he didn't know were valuable for him to share with his people. I have no idea what industry you're in, but that is something that will apply no matter who I serve. And people are always saying, Shiley, why aren't you niching down? I'm like, I love that I meet with a lot of different industries. I go to so many events with so many different kinds of entrepreneurs that are able to find me. And I think that's so much fun. So I love that. And it's so far so good. But that's the hugest part. Is it doesn't matter that I'm an expert at your space. And I didn't always know that. But that's the part that helps. So that it's helping you communicate what your specialness is. And sometimes people don't know what that is, but I help them pull it out.
I can understand that, and it makes a lot of sense. I know what my industry is. I know who my audience is. I just need to know how to reach them in the best way possible. Mainly not using a lot of my time to be able to do it, and I certainly have some ideas on how to approach it. So you're absolutely right. You don't need to know my industry. I'll introduce you to it, but what you might do is help me with some of the mechanics and some of the media avenues that I could use that I'm not using currently. So appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
spot on, I tell you. Yes.
Absolutely. For sure, for sure. Yes, there's a few nuggets there. I mean, I could always talk, I think, like you just said, like I could talk for days about this stuff. There's so much out there. But it doesn't have to be scary. And I think one more thing I'm going to echo from what you said is it doesn't have to take as much time as people think. A lot of times you'll hear like coaches be like, you need to post 5 times on Instagram, or you need to post 3 times a day on TikTok, which is probably correct. But if you're a small business owner, like I can't justify that. Like that is not, if you don't love TikTok, you're going to suffer doing that many posts a day and you're going to quit just like you do a bad diet. So there's usually ways to do a lot less and get a lot more impact. It's about consistency. One example I use is if your favorite TV show ended mid-season, wouldn't you be upset? And a lot of times that's what happens with social media is that you start posting all the time and then you stop for a while. And it's like you're killing that relationship and people want to see more of you. So finding something that you can manage consistently is a huge thing rather than trying to overcommit yourself, which is something I see people doing all the time. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to chime back in. I'm going to kind of change our focus a little bit. Instead of talking about social media, talk about your business, because that's why you came to us, about your business. I'm looking at your website. Have you ever thought about either splitting it in 2 or to, when the first person gets to your website, that you have a division? And here's what I'm trying to get at. You're kind of all over the place on your website. You're a social media person, but you're also a motivational math tutor. And
that's my personal website. That's my personal website. That is.
I Googled you, and that was the first one that came up. That's what I hit.
Oh, that's funny. That's a great response. That is my personal website. Oh.
I think it would be great if you could kind of, because I did say your social media stuff on here, but I'm seeing all this other stuff on here too. So I don't know if I take you seriously as the social media person I met today, or I see this person who likes drag shows and magic shows and math tutors. And you see what I'm saying? Because when I Googled you, that was the first entry. I clicked on the first entry for you, which came up as your personal one. So if you want your business one to come up, you're going to have to get that moved up. You know all the little tricks of getting it moved up. But it just seems like, you could redirect them in some way to your social media, your business side. That's a little bit that if I'm going to spend $1,000 with you or $5,000 with you, I'm going to take it a little bit more seriously. I mean, it's fun. The person I clicked on, I would get more as a motivational speaker kind of person, that kind of person, as opposed to my expert on social media. Does it make sense? And I can't hear you.
That is great feedback. I really appreciate that because you know what? I'm always like, Google me. But like sometimes people do connect with my personal stuff. I do link out to my, like when it comes to services, it does redirect to my website for Sherpa. But it's a good point. And I haven't put as much time into that website as I did like 3-4 years ago, but my business website definitely. But I could make that connection clear. That's a good point.
And redirect them to your business one. Yes.
There is redirection there, but it might not be as obvious as what I'm hearing. It might be really buried, which is not going to help. So that's good to know.
Because I want to take you seriously as my social media expert. You're
yes.
fine, but I want to take you seriously.
Yeah, so your socialmediasherpa.com, that is the go-to for that. And my LinkedIn. Yeah.
Shiley, I actually had an opportunity to go to your website, but I went to your social media Sherpa. And so would you just tell us where your name came from? I mean, I had an opportunity to read, but if you tell us that, we'd be delighted to hear.
Absolutely. So my name is Shiley, and it means my gift in Hebrew. And I was born on Mother's Day, so I'm my mom's gift. So that's how I got my first name. So I'm my mom's gift. Same as like very related to Shia LaBeouf as well. His name also means gift. Or like Shiloh from Brad Pitt, all related names. Shai means gift. So that's me. And then my mom was raised in Morocco, so I have a little bit of Moroccan influence, and my dad was born and raised in Iran, so my last name's Iranian. So I got a unique background here. Do we? Yeah.
So you mentioned in one of your slides that you wanted to look at where you could grow to. Where do you want to go?
Ooh, that is a great question. One of my mentors has been asking me this question. What is it that I want? I like coaching. I would love to coach and continue to coach for a few hours a day. I love working with people. That's really fun. I think for me, it's getting rid of the overwhelm of the logistics behind that. So like right now there's a lot of different pieces, like, okay, I have to follow up over email over here. I've sent this person a video. Like there's a lot of like nitty-gritty little tasks like that that really weigh me down. So like having my brain not spent on like administrative tasks and more focused on the thing that I do like, which is connecting with people, networking, marketing myself, things that I enjoy more. And so potentially it looks like having someone help me. And I have interns right now that are really fabulous, and it's taught me a lot. But yeah, it's like, what is the right next thing? Like that's probably where I'm looking at, is how can I get help to do this, and how can I streamline my processes? Organization and structure is a tricky thing for me. I can put structure into other people's situations, but I could use better structure for mine. So that's something that I am working on. So yeah, that's me. Yeah, there's a few other questions that I put on the board. Let's see if I can share it. Oh, the other thing, like things that are like, I'm always looking to, ooh, you can see my whole window here. Things that I'm always looking to grow on is helping empower. I've been doing a lot of young women empowerment workshops. So like different young women at universities. I just did one for the women who are trying to get into security, who like are really scared to talk about themselves and what makes them special. And so I've been doing workshops on how to really talk about yourself on LinkedIn so that employers or opportunities can see you as someone that they want to bring on. So that's something that I've been doing a lot more of. And I've been networking with a lot of universities and all that kind of good stuff. And I have a full speech on YouTube about how I do this, and it's so much fun. Especially young women who try to get into tech. That was what I did last year. It was like conference. I was trying to get young women into STEM, and we had like, I think we had like somebody that like worked for the president, and then someone who was an Olympian. And I think my workshop got more reactions than they did. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. So like a lot of young women are really looking for information on this, and they don't have that. So that's something I've been doing, talking to a lot of universities. I just talked to someone at the University of Rhode Island who's also interested in learning more. Different sorority groups. Those are some things that I'm like looking to connect more to. And yeah, these are all these kind of questions that I've had as well. So yeah, there's some thoughts there. And if anybody does have an answer to like what I've said that really stood out to you today, like, oh, she said that one line and that really meant something to me, I would love to know, either out loud or in the chat.
Shiley, I have one more question.
Sure.
Do you extend your business out to the point where you're doing online auction sites, those type of things? Do you get involved in that with your businesses, or even creating websites, stuff like that?
You're saying creating auction sites and websites? Is that what you said?
Actually connecting your business with auction sites as well as social media.
Auction sites? I don't know what you mean by auctions.
Like eBay.
Oh, like, do I sell it on eBay?
No, do you work with your clients and in helping them to produce something like for channels like that?
Oh, I have not done as much auction, but I will say that when I was in 5th grade, they said I was most likely to be an auctioneer as a future career. So I have that, and I did grow up going to a few auctions with my family, but I haven't done as much. But there is some overlap in terms of like what information you showcase first. But less so on those kind of businesses. But in terms of how do you present yourself, I definitely always give insights to my people about what they should put on their website, A lot of times it's put out your FAQs as easily as possible. What questions do your people want answered, and does your website do that? So I help guide people on that. Am I your like website designer? No, but am I somebody that can point out stuff like Cindy pointed out Dean Sydney pointed out on my website? Like, absolutely. And there's some things worth illuminating about what other pieces come into place and how you are seen online.
Yeah, I was curious because I was looking for some symmetry, and I think you answered the question.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to make sure that what you're doing on social media matches up with what you're doing elsewhere. So thanks.
Absolutely. Right. And how you link to other pages, how you link to like other marketing, other platforms is also a big deal, right? Like how you post an auction onto Facebook, or where you share it and what context you share it in. There is a way to do it. How you talk about it. Yeah, there's a lot of options there for sure. So absolutely.
So Shiley, we're almost out of time. So
Yeah.
I'm going to take the last question.
Ooh.
What can this community do for you? How can we help you?
I will say thank you. So far, I feel so grateful. I've been helped so much. For me, it's introductions to universities, introductions to sororities, introductions to different groups that can bring me to speak. Occasionally I do chambers of commerce or other groups that serve small businesses. I love doing trainings, revealing all sorts of tips and tricks and stuff for the community. Those are awesome introductions that I can make. And any other feedback from your experience today. I know we heard from a few folks, but sometimes the folks we don't hear from, they have like the best insights, or they have like a really serious reaction to what they just experienced today. I want to know. I love feedback, and that's why I love 1 Million Cups, is that I can provide it for other businesses, and then occasionally I can get some back for myself. So I am all up in the learning. Also too, like I love LinkedIn. I put my LinkedIn in the chat earlier. I would love to connect with you all on LinkedIn if you enjoyed what you heard here today. Those are also great things. And then also if you want regular LinkedIn tips, or not even LinkedIn, social media tips in general, they're super easy. That's where you can sign up to get my emails. It's super light and super fun. So those are some great things to help me, and y'all have helped me so much. So I'm already beyond grateful. So thank you. Thank you.
Well, it was a pleasure having you. Glad to hear about your business. Please take Dr. Fair's advice and come back and join us. You never know who will be in the audience. You guys, thanks for coming out and spending a little time with Shiley and 1 Million Cups. Hope to see, we won't meet next week, but we will be back on the 14th. We've got a presenter scheduled to speak, so hope to see you then. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Have a great Wednesday. Come back and see us. Invite a friend. See you next week, or the next week, April 14th.
Thank you, Shiley.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me and for your time. Pleasure.